Today, it's a copy of a copy of a copy, but it's also $5, so your mileage may vary. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. If you're one of the 300,000 people banned for cheating in the Battlefield 6 beta, consider joining our Patreon.
I'd be fine with known cheaters on our Patreon. They're clearly very sad people, but their money is still money.
Yeah, they obviously have too much free time, and importantly, aren't good with that money, but if we can get even a 1%, that's 3,000 people.
I worry we aren't Battlefield, and that this may be an important part of the appeal.
Shoot, you're right. We're not even Medal of Honor.
In a recent interview, Zach Kreger, director of Barbarian and Weapons, as well as an upcoming Resident Evil film, said his project will tell a different story than the games, going on to say, "I'm not going to tell Leon's story, because Leon's story is told in the games." That seems reasonable, to be honest. That's one way of respecting the source material. However, citing the success of HBO's bar-for-bar remake of The Last of Us, the article says, longtime lovers of the games also deserve the chance to see the characters they've played come to life in a different way. It concludes by claiming that, by telling its own story, Kreger's project is adhering to the status quo. It acknowledges that Kreger may surprise us, but also says, given Resident Evil's checkered history on screen, surprise is the last thing fans seem to want. And to be clear, this is not dunking on this interviewer or its author. Most of this is honestly a matter of taste. The only thing that is factually dubious is that the article calls HBO's The Last of Us a remake rather than an adaptation. That's an odd slip, but whatever. The rest of this article is aware of and respects the fact that film and video games are very different media with disparate strengths and weaknesses. Do fans of something deserve the chance to see the characters come to life in a different way? What anyone deserves is an open question in moral philosophy. Are we owed kindness, patience, honesty? Let's say Monica Bellucci as Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil. Actually, I kind of want that for all of us. But that's probably unfair. It's just an interview. We aren't talking about what we owe each other. We're talking about what consumers deserve. And consumers deserve jack shit. Consumers get what they can afford, subject to someone selling it. That's the consumer promise, the invisible fist of the market. Store.loadingreadyrun.com. Also, is surprise the last thing fans seem to want? Seem is doing a lot of heavy lifting, so this statement seems a little soft, but is not provably false. Maybe fans don't want to be surprised. Maybe fans want something that they can grade on how closely it adheres to what they already have. There are many paths in this garden of delights we call life. Hey, what's going on in that right-hand panel? Is that good? Because it looks like something I recognize. Kreger's a self-described worshipper of Resident Evil and describes his story as a love letter to the games. Is that good? It depends. Sometimes not being a fan means that you're not beholden to expectations. Sometimes being a fan binds you to them. This project will be its own thing. I'm guessing a satisfying Succession-like drama focused on Umbrella Corp's C-suite. And it'll need to be judged on its own merits.
Riot Games recently published a cinematic music video to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of Wild Rift, but instead of hiring a team of talented animators and musicians like they've done quite a few times in the past, they allowed themselves a sinful flirtation with AI slop. To the AI prompter's credit, though you by no means gotta give it to him, the video was mostly passable. Some graphic tees in the audience that didn't scan, a limb here or there that didn't seem quite right. The background lighting was inconsistent, and continuity, what is that? But for the most part, the characters were recognizable as the avatars representing yourself and 4 random middle schoolers who expect you to play like Faker or face egregious disrespect that you'll need to switch to single-player games for a calendar year. The real giveaway was the music. There might have been more to the prompt than make me a song in the style of K-pop Demon Hunters, but sung by LOL champions and somehow related to the weather. But maybe not. Jinx fiercely proclaims, "Can we turn up the blower higher?" Which, even if the audience gets that your song is about a hurricane, still doesn't really land. Like, are you in a hurricane created by a leaf blower? Am I meant to understand it's a tiny hurricane because you're on the mobile version of the worst way to meet gamers on the internet? Regardless, we should definitely focus on turning down the suck before we turn up the blow. The video was quickly lambasted by everyone who saw it and wasn't immediately getting ganked under tower, and it was removed the same day. The producer of Wild Rift issued this statement on X, the Everything app, shortly after it was taken down. "Hey folks, yesterday we posted a creator-made video on our official Weibo channel that, frankly, did not hit the mark. When we post content on our official channels, it's on us to maintain a high-quality bar and be clear about where it came from. Thanks for all the feedback. We can and will do better." That's a really well-written non-apology because it so gracefully sweeps past the history of this video's commission. Riot's legal department knows that technically everything is creator-made. League of Legends was made by creators. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony was created by someone. Even this chuckle-worthy second-screen news show was lovingly crafted by 100% humans and Beej. So it stands to reason that Riot made the premeditated decision to exchange some fraction of a reasonable fee for 2 minutes of derivative pop music and almost passable anime dancing. That it was still creator-made, even if their statement obviously implies this was fan fiction posted to their main page. The thing is, Riot, when a fan makes a cool video involving characters from your IP, you don't download it first and then post it as yourself. You repost it or you say something in the comments. But since you didn't do either of those and you're not the Barstool Sports TikTok page, it's pretty clear what you're trying to hide. I mean, what you're trying to be clear about where it came from. So from all of us at CheckPoint, we wish you the best of luck maintaining a high quality bar and recommend for inspiration you check out this great video we just discovered called Pop Stars by KDA.
McDonald's Japan is in scalding hot water with the Pokemon TCG fanbase because they tried to do a promotion and ended up staring at a mountain of trash. Pause it. Buy some McDonald's food, receive a Pokemon card. Consequence, if you buy more food, you get more cards. Result, people bought hundreds of dollars of food and abandoned it at the counters and on the streets in untouched McDonald's bags. Conclusion, you can use a card game to make McDonald's fail. Okay, that's not entirely the conclusion here. It's more like worldwide toy distributor McDonald's can't even provide an answer to the scalping problem. Granted, it's not clear that everyone wasting food is a Pokemon card scalper. I think we've all met fans in our own fandoms who are equally likely to engage in this kind of shit behavior. But I think McDonald's could have avoided all of these problems if they just took a leaf out of Uniqlo's playbook. See, Uniqlo is also doing a Pokemon TCG collab. There are several printed shirts in the UT line featuring Pokemon TCG card art, and to my knowledge, when you buy one of these shirts, you do not get a Pokemon card with them. I'm not even sure if the shirts are tournament legal. And that is what McDonald's should do. Just print the Pokemon cards on your food and then make people play with your immortal muffins and buns. Problem solved.
Oh, how the turns have tabled for Palworld developers Pocket Pair. While still embroiled in their bizarre patent lawsuit with Nintendo, seemingly intent on stamping out the generally accepted Pokemon ripoff, Palworld itself has now lived long enough to see its own ripoff hit the Nintendo eShop. The similarly named Palland is currently available on the Switch eShop, and at time of writing was on sale for 60% off, marked down to $3.99. So really, it's theft. I mean, it's a steal. There's actually no evidence that anything in Palland is directly stolen from Palworld or even from Pokemon, short of there's some weird little guys. But in this alleged journalist's humble opinion, it looks both like, 1, something designed to confuse consumers, and 2, absolute cheeks. Like, this game looks like such stinky doo-doo, but maybe they'll sell enough to make the inevitable lawsuits worthwhile. But I doubt it, since even Tencent caved in the face of such a lawsuit. Last week, they made changes to the Steam page for their upcoming game Light of Motirum, following legal threats from Sony, because the key art and several screenshots for Light of Motirum looked an awful lot like Horizon Zero Dawn, Sony going so far as calling it a slavish clone in the legal filing. Now, I doubt this case will make it to court because Sony could almost certainly use the rarely invoked legal strategy of, come on, because come on. And plus, what Sony sees as the nail in this particular legal coffin, Tencent allegedly reached out to Sony asking them to collaborate on an original Horizon game, and when Sony declined, Tencent, supposedly just did it anyway, but changed all the proper nouns. Palland publisher Boggysoft didn't even do that when they published another title available on the Switch eShop, Yes, it's Only Up, not to be confused with the actual game of the same name, which has never officially released on Switch, and in fact was unlisted from Steam because, among other things, the developer found the whole thing way too stressful. Yeah, it sucks out there. Maybe people will get confused, and just like they did with Only Up, someone will try to add Paland to Fortnite, which will hopefully then make the whole industry collapse in on itself, and then I can go home.
What will you do when you get home?
I don't know, probably just play some... Oh, no.
And this is why video games need preservation to continue working offline. Coming up, Nintendo of America has partnered with the Interstate Scholastic Esports Alliance to support a competitive play series of Nintendo games for students in grades 4 through 12, which is a far cry from Nintendo's previous stance of disallowing their games from esports tournaments. But those were stinky adults, and these are influenceable youths, so a much more lucrative market.
The Riot AI story, which Nelson wrote,
Yes.
First of all, I mean, it's bad, but you should watch it if you have an opportunity to, because it's horrendous.
Yeah, they took it down because they don't want you to see it, so you should go watch it.
Exactly. Meaning there's many places to watch it now because it is horrendous. But what really gets me about it is, and we joke in the story about like, hey, you should check out this thing that you did previously, right? Because obviously it was a lot of money, but there was so much. It was clear there was so much effort by talented people that went into Popstars and KDA and all that.
Yeah.
With, yes, a virtual group, but with humans behind it. To the extent that when they did a second single with different humans voicing the same characters, people didn't like it as much, and then they had to bring the same humans back from the first one when they did their third single, which was better received.
Right.
And I find that very funny, that it's like, no, you can't just outsource it. Also, all the continuity was so bad. Like, the music was bad. Nelson was right, the music was bad, but I was watching it and I was just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
There's nothing logically follows from one shot to the next. It's just a mishmash of nonsense.
I can't tell if there is a story involved, and it's like, I'm almost certain that this is not meant to be absurdist or surrealist, and therefore not make sense. It's trying to make sense, and I'm like, but it's not clear that any of it is making any sense. And I mean, I think we talked about it on Chill Point, and I said to Paul, I'm like, I'm going to watch this. I know you said it's AI, but I'm going to try to divorce all that from my mind and just watch it on, does this look like something, is mostly of, can I enjoy it?
Right.
Can I watch this and actually enjoy it? And like within about 10 seconds, I was like, I can't. It's so, there's something about it, and I have poor vision and stuff too, so it's like detail work doesn't always jump out at me sometimes, right? But there are blatant things sometimes, and that was very blatant, that it's like, none of this seems to want to mesh together and like come together as a thing. And then at the end I was like, also the song just straight up sucks.
The song is also bad,
and I'm just like, I didn't expect that. I would have expected that it would have been like, oh, somebody wrote a really good song or a fun fan song or something, because you see a lot of that coming out of like through Vocaloid culture or through like Toho and stuff like that. Like fan bases who are really adamant go real hard on making really good songs, and then people make really mid animated music videos out of them. But it's what happens. And I was like, maybe that's what happened here. Somebody tried to make a music video out of this really cool song, and like the song is just not good.
No.
And I hate to even say that it's like, it sucks, it's bad, it's awful. It's like, it's just not good. It's not interesting to listen to.
They did when I was watching it, there was the first line, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is a music video, sure. And then as the song, like over the next 2 or 3 lines, I was like, I think this song is generative AI.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was authorship at any step.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of people creating things, I do find it funny that the executive producer of Wild Rift was like, oh, this was a creator-made thing. And it's like, I dispute even that.
Yeah.
First of all, I think that you obviously signed off on this. But second, was this creator made?
Yeah.
But it's funny because at the end of Cameron's story, which
is the one about Resident Evil, by the way.
Yeah, when he was talking about, sometimes when you're doing an adaptation, you you are antithetical to the source material, which was Starship Troopers.
Yes.
Sometimes you are bound too closely to it, which was Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet.
Right.
But maybe it'll be something like Succession. All of those are actually great.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm an apologist for Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. It's so over the top, and I love it. It's ridiculous, but it's great.
And like the
no one loves Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet as much as Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Much Ado About Nothing, the movie version he did of that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I love how approachable that whole, and how joyful it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I haven't watched his Hamlet yet, which I would like to, because I would like to also feel like, there's probably a lot of joy in this tragedy of making this movie this way, because I've seen trailers.
There's a lot of great people in it. Billy Crystal plays the gravedigger.
Oh, nice.
With the talking about Yorick.
Yeah.
So you're just sort of like, what's Billy Crystal doing in here?
Yeah.
I think Robin Williams has a character as one of the various aristocrats as well.
Nice.
There's a lot of people in that particular production. We watched it in high school.
I was thinking
there's an intermission. That's how long it is.
I was thinking about the idea though of like when you're going to adapt something, like you adapt a piece of media to film, and people coming at, we're gonna take a video game, much like we would take a book, right? And being like, what do you have to break? We were starting to understand that better. Like I think media studies have gotten better and better over the years, and people are becoming a little more understanding of the fact that when you adapt a long work into a much shorter work, that naturally decisions have to be made. And I was just saying to Paul earlier that I'm like, it's funny because it kind of feels like it fits into, there's like a few, you could draw one of like a square chart and like, it'll be like, is it the same story and the same characters? Because the setting's always going to be the same, right? But like, is it same story, same characters, same story, but how it affects different characters? Is it a different story, but with same characters? So you're making a new, it's like, we're going to use these same characters, but we're going to tell like a completely brand new story. And sometimes that's also, different story means we're going to adapt that story differently, so the outcomes are different or something else happens. Or you're going to do different story, different characters, but it's set in the same universe. And I was like struggling to come up with like, but who tries to adapt something from a setting that has a different story and different characters? And Paul went Fallout. And I was like, oh shit, you're right. That does happen.
It worked really well
too.
Yeah.
So.
There's been a constant sort of thing with video game adaptations when they do change it, because it's, they're sort of like, but you have this cool story, and the story is cool, and obviously we can't show the 40 hours of this action game. It would have to be condensed, but like that story is still there. Like I would like to see a movie of Resident Evil 1 with like the mansion, and then slowly more and more is revealed, and eventually you're in like a science facility that's buried under it, and it's just sort of, it has like a cool progression over the course of the game.
It builds its layers.
Yeah. That said, his quote about like, I don't want to tell Leon's story because Leon's story is in the games. I mean, good, because Leon's story is ridiculous. You could do Resident Evil 2. That sort of works kind of self-contained because that's Leon and Claire and that's their thing. But like, if you trace Leon's story through the Resident Evil games are stupid. I love them. The story, the overarching like the stuff they've had to disentangle that they themselves entangled needlessly over the course of it. The fact that there's now like an entire like bioterror ministry to handle like that, apparently this stuff is just everywhere now. It's like, it's preposterous. The Resident Evil series as the games exist now should not be adapted to a movie, but you could do individual stories from the games that I think would be interesting.
I mean, I think there's also room for if you have a video game that's like, there's a compelling idea, but the execution of the game itself is not that interesting. Maybe it's not as fun as you want it to be. People are like, but I really liked the idea of the story. I just wish that the game was more something, right? And that's where it's like, oh, well, then turn that into a 90-minute animated film, or turn that into a 2-hour prestige film, or adapt it into 6 episodes of an hour-long TV series or something. It's like, and then we'll see those ideas bubble out and become a narrative that has a beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to a beginning, a middle, and then somebody didn't really know how to end it. And I'm like, that's also where that can shine, is that maybe what you did is you adapted a story into it that you had in your brain of, I'm going to do a video game, and this is the story it's going to have. And the story was like, that should have been a movie, that should have been a TV show, that could have been a fucking email.
I know how you could end it.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And the store as well.
That's how our movie's going to end, though.
Yeah, exactly. The store's back. Limited stock at the moment as things slowly we figure it out.
As
But
I
the point
acquire
is,
more items to put back in the store.
store.loadingreadyrun.com now takes you to a place where you can purchase some things. So that's great.
Yeah.
Patreon, of course, supports everything we do, as does becoming a member on this YouTube channel. And shout out to those members in a moment. But I have nothing further to contribute today.
Nor have I. I like to get out of this room.
Sounds great. Bye, everybody. Why am I doing this?
Riot Games.